I get so excited about these damn videos, I can't even breathe. Alright, so I was super hyped to make this video, and then they started cutting some trees outside, and that took like 2 hours. Now it's dark, it's cold, but I'm still here. We're gonna do this. So tomorrow I am performing my first set on the SP404. I am super excited. It's at the same place that I did the OPC set, which is just like a cool place with a bunch of hipsters and people that are into synthesizers. It's mostly like a modular thing, but they said, you know, do whatever you want, and that's what I'm doing. I love it when places are like that, like they're not putting a restriction on my creativity, like, no, this is only for modulars. You know, like, I'm gonna play whatever I feel like playing. If I want to play electronic one day, I will. If I want to play some lo-fi, I will. You know, nobody's gonna stop me. So today I want to talk about why I think it's a great idea to have as little as possible when you perform live. So first, let me tell you about my first electronic show. This was the setup that I had. I had it in a huge, heavy synthesizer case. And not only was the case heavy on its own, then I loaded it up with the TR8, the TT303, Volca, my huge Yamaha mixer that was heavy in itself. Needless to say, I had trouble just carrying this thing, just lugging it with me. And then the show ended up being like super crazy. Like it was like a noise show. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the genre noise. You know what goes on with noise. It's crazy. Anyways, the guy's playing with a chicken. He's smacking it on the table. Next thing you know, he starts going crazy. Starts throwing the chairs everywhere. I'm like grabbing my little synthesizer case, and I am like struggling trying to get out of there, like making sure he doesn't hurt me. It was a mess. It was a hot mess. But not even that part was a mess. I had all of my cables like tangled together, and like I prepared for this like as much as possible. Like I had my case ready, like everything was plugged in, and no, it was not as simple as it seemed. I just remember being on the floor trying to like untangle all the cables, just pretty much like giving up on life. Finally got everything running. You gotta make sure that all the MIDI is in sync, right? Because you know, can't be out of sync. Yeah, so it was a mess. It was fun, not gonna lie. Well, I mean, it was kind of like my first show. It was during a hurricane. Like one person showed up, but that kind of like took some pressure off of me. But anyways, that was like the time that I learned, okay, next time that I do this, I'm gonna do it a lot less. And the time after that, I took a really long time to play because like I was finishing college, I was working, I had a bunch of stuff going on, so I think maybe like 2 years passed before I played live again. And at the next time that I played live, I played with just the OPCs. And the funny thing was that as I was working on my set, I ended up going to a show at the same place that I'm gonna play my set, right? They're like, hey, we have a 30-minute spot, do you want to play? I'm like, hey, got my OPC right here, just pull it right out of my bag. I just played like half of my set that I was working on for the next show. Like literally, that's all I need. Plug me up, I'm done, unplug me, back in the bag. Like that experience was beautiful. And after that, I learned that I don't want to like carry a bunch of stuff when I'm with me. Like, yeah, it's cool to have it in the studio. I have a bunch of synthesizers, I have drum machines, I have samplers. I'm not taking that with me when I gig. Like, I just need one thing. Like, who am I trying to impress? I'm not saying that like it's impossible and that some people don't pull it off. Because for example, Cenk from Electron, you know, he works with like all his Electron machines. But he's been doing that for like 10 years, you know? So like, where I think it gets messy is when you're just starting off and then you're creating this huge setup, like, and you just keep adding and you keep adding, and then you think like, oh, you know, now I'm comfortable at home making music like this. This is exactly how I'm gonna perform my set, you know, whenever I perform. And I mean, it doesn't have to be that way. It's cool, like having all the lights and having a bunch of machines is cool, but you don't have to do it like that all the time. You know, like you can do videos like that at home, and then when you gig, make it simple for yourself, you know? The cool thing about the 404 is that you can load like complete songs in it. So the way that I use the 404, I use it in so many ways, but I don't use the sequencer. Not because I think it's inferior or anything, it just doesn't fit my workflow. I just don't use the sequencer. Maybe I will someday, who knows. So when I first got my 404, I would chop samples up on the 404. I haven't done that in a while just because it's tedious, but it's also a lot of fun. Like, I do enjoy it. It's not like I'm never gonna do it again. But the way that I've been using the 404 lately is that I just load my tracks. So like all the tracks that you guys have heard, most of them have been made on the Montage, on the Machine, and on the MPC 1000. And the cool thing about using different tools is that they allow me to be creative in a different way. So like the way that I write a song on the Montage isn't the same way that I write a song on the MPC 1000. And that's so cool about electronic instruments, that they just inspire you. Or like any instrument, you know, they just inspire you in a different way. Oh no, my battery's gonna die. Hold on. So the way that I use the 404 when I perform is I load my tracks onto them. But before I do that, I normally load the track onto the 404, and then if it's a finished track, then I'll just play effects on it. But if I feel like the song has more potential, I'll chop it up further on the SP404, and that's when like the coolest stuff happens. Some people just use their 404 to load their tracks that they make somewhere else. That's cool too, but like, you know, you have to know how to use the 404 in other ways. Don't let that be the only way you use the 404, because there's so many ways of using it. The more that you know about it, the more comfortable you're gonna be on it, and everything's just gonna come more naturally to you. And you see that like when people start using the 404. Like when somebody first gets their 404, they're all like, yeah, and like, no, y'all don't even, like, nothing is even happening the way that it's supposed. Like, you don't know what the heck you're doing yet, but that's okay. You know, you get there. Like if you look at my old videos, it's the same way. But now, like, I know, hey, if this knob is in this position, and you know, and this knob is in this position, it's gonna do this. If I do this, it's gonna do this, you know? So like all these things you start learning as you're going. And I feel like that's what makes the 404 so special, because like when you perform on the 404, it's like you're adding to a song. So like, I don't know, I don't feel like a song is really finished until after I perform it on the 404. Like all those tape stops, like all the effects just give it a different vibe, you know, like the tape effect, pretty much everything that the 404 does changes the way that a song is. And I think it's great for live performance. Like this is my tool for performing all the songs that I create. A lot of people think that they're gonna get a 404 and they're gonna be able to do or make the type of music that they see people perform on the 404, and they don't realize that most of those songs weren't performed on here. Like this is a great performance tool, but having this be the only thing that you compose on and like actually structure songs on can be a pain. I might make a tutorial about this if you guys are into it, if I have the time for it. I just started working. My time is like, you guys see I'm like here making this video at night. Not even that dark, but it just feels like it. I'm working like my first 9 to 5 and it's just been exhausting. But making these videos, like, I look forward to it, and anytime that I can, like, I'm out here on my porch, anytime that I can, I'll try to come out here and make these videos till I can get, like, a actual studio room, because right now I'm in, like, my living room. But hey, that's why we're working, so we can get that designated studio space, right? Hopefully next year, Then more videos will come, you know, then I'll be able to do all the things that I want to do. That I just can't do right now because of space, because of time, because it's just not the right time in life to do this. Anyways, totally got off topic. Back to a minimal approach for live performance. So the less that you have, the less cables that you have to mess with, the less gear that you have to worry about, the less power cords you need to keep up with, the less stressed you're gonna be. I mean, it's just common sense. The less you're gonna have to deal with. You just get there, plug this up, perform, you're done, unplug, throw it in your backpack, you're done. Like, why complicate yourself with a bunch of gear? I don't understand. And it's not only just about like having to carry a bunch of stuff, but having one piece of gear that you're concentrating on. Like, you're gonna be a boss on that, because like you are on this, you know. If you have a lot of stuff going on, there's just more chances to mess up, more chances that things aren't gonna go as planned, and it never goes as planned. Even though my set is like pre-made, it's probably still like 60% pre-made, 40% improv, because you don't know what's gonna happen. You know, maybe something doesn't work. Maybe you hit something by accident, and like that happens on the 404. You can like accidentally hit something, and then, you know, you gotta figure out what you're gonna do next. But that's with everything. That's with any piece of gear. You know, something can malfunction. That's why it's also good to have like a backup. You know, and if you're just using one thing, but see, like, for example, with the 404, I've never had this crash, so it's not like, you know, like, what are the chances, you know, knock on some wood, that it crashes during my live set? But still, you should be prepared, so I'll probably, like, pack my OPZ just to have it, you know, like, I have some songs in there ready to be performed, if I need to, so, like, you know, if anything did happen, something got spilled on it, you know, that you're not like completely without anything to play, you know. So just keep that in mind when you're just using one thing. But think about like if you had like just one main sequencer and a whole bunch of synthesizers, and then something happened to your sequencer, you know, you would have to like improv on your keyboards, and hopefully you're a good keyboard player. So yeah, so that's another reason why it's good to have one piece, because you get to focus on that piece. Like everything you're doing is on that piece, and I feel like that adds a little more, I don't know, life to your music. Like it's not like a same repeating pattern, you know, like you'll be able to mess with it a lot more. That's how I feel, and that's how I felt when I was in my other set with the OPC. That's why I know like I want to do it again. I don't want to complicate myself. I think 2 pieces is fine too, like maybe, I don't know, the MPC and into the 404, or even like the OPZ into the 404, or even like a drum machine and a keyboard. Like 2 things max. 3, maybe 3, I don't know. You guys remember that I also have a modular system, so like that's a whole thing in its own. And if you're doing like a thing with a modular, you know, like that makes more sense if you just have, you know, 1 modular. But then you still see people with like 2, 3 modulars, and it's like, dude, I know you're not using all that right now. Like I know damn well you are not using every single module right now. Like why do you have 3 cases out? You know, like I'm not trying to get on anybody's case or anything. I'm just saying you don't need to bring everything with you every time you perform. This video went way longer than I wanted to, at least this intro, because I still need to address like my recent Casio addiction that I'm gonna address in a separate video. But yeah, I'm not forgetting about my recent acquisitions that I'm gonna talk to you guys about. It's a problem. I'm not proud of it. We will get to the bottom of this. So yeah, it's 7 o'clock. I still need to arrange some tracks on here. I haven't had time. I get home at like 5 o'clock every day. I am going to do that tonight, and then tomorrow I'm gonna go to work. I'm gonna come home, and then I'm gonna start getting ready for my gig, and I guess I'll see you guys in that video.